So last week we had a segment which talked about the IMOP party. Now, total transparency here. The first time I heard about IMOP was in passing. I saw some of their logos and stuff up in the Queensland election. That's the extent of it. And also the conversation we had on camera last week. Now, a lot of people have been raising some points about that segment. Total transparency here. I had a conversation with the leader of IMOP in the wake of the conversation, because he believes there were a lot of untruths that were said, and I made contact with Michael O'Neill, the leader of IMOP and the founder of IMOP, after he put a segment out, because he was fairly upset about some of the things that were said. And I took it very seriously, because I don't know a thing about IMOP, so I thought, in the event you don't know anything, you go to all sides and you get as much information as possible to work out what the truth is. Because I obviously know you, but I didn't know who Michael was. So I reached out to him, and I don't disclose private conversations. I'm just acknowledging a conversation took place. And I got what information I needed in terms of where his side of the things were. I was like, okay, no worries. We will address it today in this segment. And I haven't had a chat in depth with Riccardo about this yet. Total transparency. And in terms of the points that were raised with him, I'm gonna sort of hold your feet to the fire today. They're burning. And they're burning, are they?
Oh, good,
because this is what the show. I don't want to talk about this after this segment. I want to make it absolutely clear. This show isn't meant to be a gossip show. We're in and out on topics, and we're trying to be as efficient as possible on topics, especially if we don't need to talk about it. Now, this is something that I feel like it's turning into Gossip Girl, and I don't do that. I don't do that kind of thing. So let's try and deal with this as efficiently as possible. For those IMOP viewers that are watching this, let me just firstly state the obvious and say that we're all Australians, and I like you guys, and I don't like party politics. It's not a mystery. I was in the Christian Democrat Party. I saw what a disaster that was. And I feel for you guys. I feel for you. I get it. You're trying to work out which party is meant for you. But I'm just hoping that this segment will allow you guys to actually see some of the truth about some of the claims Riccardo made last week, whether they're true, whether he's lying out of his teeth. But I just want you to know I'm on your side. This is not a propaganda segment. We're both in this journey together, just like everything else with COVID, just like climate change. We're in this together. So, Riccardo, you made a number of claims last week about IMOP. One of them was that some of their members had been trying to debunk Australia One. It was something along those lines, and you were saying that they were raising concerns in some of the meetings. You also said a number of things like IMOP stinks, and I mean, I admit it wasn't the most sophisticated word, but you made the comment anyway, and you also said that IMOP, in terms of a party, it doesn't have what it takes. It's also possibly infiltrated by the major parties. Is any of that true? I mean, where is the truth and where is the grey area?
I'm glad you used the word truth, because the head of IMOP, and I had no idea who this guy was because I wasn't much interested, Michael O'Neill, he came back and didn't address any of the substantive issues, just said, I lied. Now, and he he didn't like the fact I said, it stinks. Now, the reason I said that is because when you say someone has lied, that is now slander, and you can be taken to court for that. So I avoid words like that.
Oh.
And I say things like, it stinks, to say there's something here that is worthy of looking at. But I don't make silly claims that, if tested in a court of law, will cause someone to lose their house, let's say. Okay, so just to clarify on the loose language, I noticed that it's a very useful tool.
All right.
To say there's plenty worth looking at here, but it's something stinks. That's all it is. So just to deal with that.
So maybe be careful, Michael, for using the word lied.
Oh, I think Michael should be very careful about how he communicates his intent. So the odd sloppy word has a very specific
Well, you sound pretty confident then. Let's see what you've got.
Okay, let's go back to the next one. Next thing he pushed back on was he didn't address the substantive issues that I raised, just that I lied and then I said it stinked. Oh, and if there's anybody penetrated his party, that I should call him. Michael, it's not my job to help you survive. If you can't keep your party clean, that's your problem, mate.
That's a good point.
And you should look really hard. But I'll give you a couple of clues. Today. And if you have the wit that you think you have, then you might put 2 and 2 together and come up with something other than 5. Okay. Allegations. No contact. I never reached out. Well, when I said Michael, I talk about A1 because, as you know, Leadership 101, you're in charge. Everything is on you. You can't, any leader that passes the buck and says, oh, look, I'm sorry, my coordinator messed up. They're not a leader. CEO stands for Chief Everything Officer. So when I say I reached out, that means my organisation reached out. Now, we have here a series of emails dated 12 October, 13 October, 20 October.
Can I see those when you get a chance?
Yeah, sure. 21 October and 25 October. And it's a series of emails from your Nicklin candidate. And ours kicks off with, from A1, and I won't give the names, but A1, congratulations on your candidature in Nicklin. Are you available for a phone call with Mr. Riccardo Bosi this morning? Sincerely, Chief of Staff. And we're backwards and forwards, and it says, look, really sorry, we're crazy busy, not available. How about later? And then it went backwards and forwards over a period of days. And as you can imagine, prior to the election, everyone was busy and we couldn't have the actual chat between myself and your Nicklin candidate. Then your candidate says, look, it seems we're both flat out. We're all pre-polling. How about we continue this after the election? And then my Chief of Staff came back and said, that does sound like the best course of action. We wish you all the best. See, that was us reaching out, as I said, A1I, reaching out with a friendly hand. Now, one thing led to another, and after the election, we didn't actually end up touching base, but I think we're all too busy getting on with our lives. So that puts the lie to your statement that I was lying, Michael.
Can I see the
absolutely
the emails for that?
Have a look at those. You can look at the dates.
So you were saying that it was actually, you meant A1,
yes,
rather than yourself. I. Okay. So this is
once again when you're in charge.
Why we're clarifying. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I don't want to run the flow. What else?
No,
what else was said?
Okay, so that's point number 1. I mentioned the other things. Now, during that exchange, and there's one small gap here. My Queensland State Coordinator received a what can be most politely described as an unprofessional call from your Nicklin candidate, claiming that I should have asked her permission to run in the seat of Nicklin, amongst other ridiculous claims. And so apparently she believes, and by she I mean IMOP, because I presume that she speaks with your voice, Michael, because you only have one authorised message. Every organisation knows that you have one authorised message that comes out. So obviously either she needs to be corrected or you authorise this approach. That she said that I should ask her permission to run in her seat, which I thought was funny because we selected the seat based on our analysis of the data from the previous election, and which is one of the 4 criteria, a winnable seat, and it was a winnable seat.
Is there an email for that?
Which one's that?
The fact that she said don't run in my seat.
No, that was a telephone call from her to my Queensland State Coordinator, and she was quite, again, to use a nice word, nonplussed by the tone and message within that phone call, and she rang us up, and we continued this polite exchange trying to speak to that candidate to let her know that no minor party is going to win 50% plus 1 vote against the majors. And so what I tried to explain was the minor parties need to put the majors last. That's just a very simple, well-known strategy. All the minors preference each other, and then whoever gets up, congratulations. In fact, I think I said at one point, it doesn't matter which of the minors gets up as long as the majors don't. So if IMOP had got up, I'd been happy with that, simply because you can't do it. And so you need as many minor parties as possible to feed each other preference. That's what Labor does with vacancies.
Just so it's very clear, in the video he said no such conversation took place. Michael, please note that a conversation did take place.
So somebody's lying.
Exactly. And
but it's not me.
And I don't want to say what the conversation basically was, but I made that point too. Someone's lying, and I want to know, because if Riccardo's lying to my face,
look, I'm done with
the
this.
Show's off.
After this, I'm not...
No, we're not talking about this after this, because as I said, this is Gossip Girl. I don't like it.
Now,
but as I said, someone's lying, and we want to work it out, and we're in it together, guys.
And what Michael didn't mention in his very measured reply, it had more holes in it than Swiss cheese. He didn't mention the fact that, and I didn't raise it, but what's the definition of an ambush? It's a surprise attack by a force lying in wait on a temporarily halted or moving enemy. And so, bang, bang, Michael. On the 14th of December, at one of the presentations, my presentation, one of your candidates, initials PG, was making claims that A1 is against gays and single mothers. Now, that's demonstrably false, and this is what I refer to in spitting in our hands. It's spitting at us, right? We offered the hand of friendship, and now it would appear your people are bad-mouthing us.
Yeah, and it's a candidate. It's not like a member.
And this is okay, because it's fine. I understand that parties do what parties do, but please, be honest about it. And I'm advised that there was a Michael O'Neill in attendance on the COVID sheet. Now, there might be another Michael O'Neill, but it might have been you. It would have been more open and transparent, Michael, if you'd actually mentioned that you were at that meeting. 10th of January, A1 supporter group scheduled a community meeting, a meet and greet, to discuss health issues, just generally. All are welcome, as well as raising awareness of A1. So it wasn't compulsory. It certainly wasn't a formal A1 branch meeting as such, but it was talking about vaccinations, masks, lockdown, PCR tests, and all of that. 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, 5 IMOP, well, let's put it this way, 5 people, members of, actually they were members because we identified them, 5 members of IMOP demanded that they complained because they believed that this meeting was to vote in a president, secretary and treasurer, and they turned up with the intention of voting in that meeting as IMOP members to create an A1 branch.
Are they members of A1?
No, of course not.
Can you be a member of another party?
No, you can't.
Did they go through the pedophilia check?
No, they didn't.
Are they members of other countries as well?
I have no idea. And so they decided.
Sorry, guys. I don't even get voting rights. Okay, I'm not even a member of A1. Like, you can't just do that.
So they complained at this meeting that they wanted to vote, and they were disappointed that it wasn't to set up an A1 branch. And then they made the brave statement that they would go to Yeppoon to set up their own A1 branch, which I thought was funny. Now, one last thing, Michael. Either you're running this goat rodeo or somebody else is and they're not telling you about it. In fact, one of these people actually said that she's going to take over IMOP because you are... Now, what was the word? I don't want to misquote her here. I can't remember the exact word, but basically she indicated that you were incompetent and she was going to take it over. So it seems that you have a fire in your own house. Oh, boy. So before you come and tell me what to do, Michael, I'd sincerely suggest that you look carefully at your own organisation and find out what the hell they're up to. Because you know what? A1 doesn't sneak into Labor Party meetings or Liberal Party meetings and try to deceive people. We don't lie. We're going to win on our own merits. We don't have to compete against anybody. We just tell people who we are. If they like it, they support us. If they don't have to. We don't play silly games like that, Michael.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, this comes under the category of pole vaulting over mouse droppings, and I don't much care. This is not an insult to the people who support IMOP. I said that last time. The people who support IMOP are probably the same people that support A1. All they want is something good for the country, their family and their kids. Nothing wrong with that. But, Michael, be extremely careful, please, for your own well-being, not to make allegations that can be taken to court, like saying you are a liar, particularly when there are copies of emails, which you were told apparently didn't exist. Last point. One of your candidates who peeled off from the last election just before it kicked off came to us and offered her assistance, and she, let's say, bad-mouthed you vociferously, and there's a big word. I hope you have the V in the dictionary there, Michael. She badmouthed you and the organisation, and she wanted nothing to do with you. Now, and I spoke to her, and I didn't want anything to do with her either. I have no time for people that betray, who haven't got the wit to make an informed decision. And she's now online saying that we should get together. Well, don't bother, Michael. I have no desire to speak to you or your representatives. I strongly suggest that you have a close look at your people and find out who's leading the coup d'etat, which is another interesting expression. That means change of a state. It's French, but maybe you don't know that. So, Michael, I don't care, mate. You're of no relevance to me. I've got the emails. I know what I said. I know what I didn't say. I know why I said it. If anybody's got a problem, it ain't A1 and it ain't me.
I was right to trust you on this, honestly. Because I take everything with a grain of salt.
As you should.
And I knew that, because when you say stuff, I know where I'm like, okay, like for example, the call. Did something happen where they reached out? Yes, something happened. Where's the grey zone? We can work that out. But what they were
Queensland
saying,
State Coordinator, if you want to get her on the line, she'll give you a chapter and verse of exactly the nature of the conversation and what was said.
Yeah.
But there's no need for that.
Yeah.
We're fine.
I'm sorry, Michael, that maybe that's not the right thing. I'm sorry it's come to this. I really, I'm not one for division, but you need to sort this crap out, okay? I hope that you keep fighting the good fight in some avenue, but I hope that this has been enlightening for you. I don't do this for... I would put this segment out just exclusively for IMOP members, just so you guys can see the truth. But
no, you got to do it for everybody because
you've called us
he
out.
He shoved a finger in A1's face and said we were liars.
Exactly, yeah.
As opposed to A1 stinks. Yeah. I would have gone, no problem. You can say A1 stinks.
Yeah.
But when he made that legally dangerous series of statements,
no,
that's why we've got to turn around.
And it's all there. I looked at the emails. I've seen Riccardo going through them. We're not going to show them to the camera because there's sensitive info on there. But as I said, guys, this podcast is built on transparency. And the moment I veer off from that, I know you can destroy me because you are also the funding source for the show. I don't get big funding. I don't have institutional funders or big party funders. Not even Riccardo has paid me a single dollar. So the moment Riccardo lies to me on a certain thing, which would be irredeemable in this case, he hasn't. That's why the show continues. But if he did, the show wouldn't continue. There'd be a problem. So this is, I hope you guys learn the lessons you need from this, and I mean this sincerely, because we're all Australians and we're all trying to move forward, and the last thing we need is to be dealing with this wasteful use of our time, okay? We need to move forward on things productively, and we need to stop wasting time on untruths. Okay? Let's move forward on this. That's the last we're talking about, IMOP. Okay? I don't want to talk about this gossip girl stuff. I hate party stuff, and this is why I'm not a member of any party. But let's move on.